Well, welcome back to Cincinnati. The World Ultimate Club Championships is building and building as we enter the business end of the week. We're in quarter-final stages in the Open division. Clapham have gone 6-1, Furious have gone 6-2. Myself, Tom Stiles, alongside Evan Lepler, and this tournament is really heating up.
Well, at Wimbledon for a long time, they talked about Manic Monday, the best day of the year in sports, when every big match played. And this feels like Manic Monday, or perhaps Thrilling Thursday at Worlds, because these two teams both had to win heart stoppers this morning. Clapham coming from 13-10 down against Rhino, and Furious hanging on to upset Sunder. And one of these teams is going to be in the semifinals about 100 minutes from now.
Well, we saw the pre-quarter matchups. We didn't know how it was going to turn out this morning. Either way, we knew this was going to be fireworks. Sunder being knocked out by Furious. Clapham taking care of business, only just coming out on defense to take that. You were pitch side, Evan. I mean, it must have been a tense moment.
It was wild. It was exhilarating. It was scary. It was so intense. There were 3 turns on Universe Point that almost matched the total number of turns for the game. It was truly a little bit of a 2016 Ironside Revolver feel in terms of back-to-back turns from great players late. There was a timeout called when they didn't have a timeout, but of course, WIFDIF rules since 2008. A timeout's not a turnover, you only add 2, so that saved Clapham. And goodness, here's the top of the bracket. Ring was the dominant team in the quarters, or the pre-quarters this morning. Cuss coming from 4-0 down to beat the French, and Sockeye Mooncatchers both clinched their spots in the quarters yesterday afternoon. Those 2 games are coming up at 2 p.m. Eastern time, but we start here with just 2 really great games behind us. We got, just an incredible matchup coming up between Pony and Buzz Bullets, and here, I mean, It could end up being, Tom, an all-North American semifinals, but the Clapham Bullfrogs are poised to do everything they've got to prevent that from being true.
There's a lot on the line here. Clapham went toe-to-toe with Ring earlier in the tournament, but couldn't quite pull off the win there. Now they're facing age-old adversaries. Back in 2014, when these 2 teams faced off, it was in the 5-alls, and neither of them will want to be back there. Playing for 5-6. And the disc is up in the air as we get ourselves underway. Welcome to Cincinnati. And Mead gets things started straight away with Wilson.
Defensive
Ford
breakdown for Furious.
Deep shot goes up. Ford underneath it. Can he bring it down? Not quite. And somehow there's a block, and somehow it comes away from Clapham.
Somehow that wasn't caught. Ford had multiple chances, and a foul was called. I mean, just a defensive breakdown in the opening point for Furious George. They came out so sharp this morning at 8 a.m., but completely leaving Conrad Wilson wide open. And that's a catch you expect Justin Ford to make. Thomas Cartwright was there. TC almost had it too. And it's going to go all the way back to the original throw, I think, on a contested foul called by Ford.
Yeah, difficult to see any obvious right or wrong in that one. Sort of thing that is generally going to get sent back. But Ford and Clapham have been running a lot of short discs in this tournament. A lot of give and goes, a lot of short disc movement. Surprised a little to see them send a big disc up so early in the game, but that's part of their strategy. Just switch things up. Ford, Mead comes out of the space and gets the disc. Wilson down the line. No bid on that one. The discs are just too tight. The windows are narrow. Mead going up the line. Goes across, round the back. 2 players in the space. Comes up with Long. Yo to Wilson. Sprinting to the end zone is Cartwright. Gets it back around to Yo and Briggs. Briggs just flicks to the space, and Mead gallops onto it. Ford coming back for the reset. Clapham's O-line finding their feet in this game. A float to the inside. Briggs is there. Not quite into the end zone just yet. Good reset pressure from Furious. Dancing around the disc now. Must be a space, but good forces, floats it to the space, and Wilson gets it, and it's a clean hold for Clapham. Looking quite assured after that opening hook, Evan.
They're looking confident, and maybe more importantly, they're looking fast. That O-line came out ready to go, playing with a quickness and a purposeful attitude that, you know, when you're playing your second game of the day, and they had just a very short break, about 2 hours, really 1 hour, from the end of the Rhino game to the time they started warming up for this game. It's a quick turnaround, but Clapham does look fresh and ready to go.
And that was a real moment, a real story of Clapham's tournament, that Rhino game. I was chatting to James Mead after it, and he said that the spirit in the game was absolutely impeccable. And when they were chatting as two teams, you could see how much it meant to Rhino, how well they'd fought and how fairly they'd fought. The Rhino captain very emotional during that speech, and you could see that was affecting Clapham as well. Everybody threw their heart and soul into that pre-quarter, and they've made it through here to a game against Furious.
If Rhino had won, they'd be here taking on a Furious team that they've already beaten in the tournament by a margin of 15-11. So they would come in feeling very confident of their ability to make it to the semifinals. Still an incredible tournament for Rhino. They're missing their superstar, Rafi Hayes. Eli Friedman also out. No Daniel Lee. They're really kind of the no-names of the Rhino squad. Not trying to be disrespectful, but the depth pieces that got them to the brink of the quarterfinals. Kudos to Rhino. They will be back.
And that pull, a foot away from the sideline, but as a result, it's coming all the way back. And Underhill, one of the World Games players for Canada, here representing the Vancouver side. Underhill looks for an option. Bullock takes it. Tejpar's available on the far side. Comes back to Underhill again.
Keep our eyes on number 16, Tim Sang. I think he is going to be the X factor in this game for the Furious O-line. When Sang is at his best, there's very few things you can do to slow him down.
Just Bullock and Underhill working it between them at the moment as Handler resets. Bullock, such a slight character, difficult to contain him. Sang has the disc now, flicks to the far side. Tejpar looking for an option deep, but well contained. Hillman's defense stopping any options there. Underhill now. Sang free. Cuts across. Big switching from Clapham, but Sang's making quick movements forward. Can they find a way into the end zone? They can. Just a confusion amongst the D-line for Clapham. Leaves a player open on the front corner, and they jam it in for a score.
Sang to Bryson. Those two guys are the two leading scorers from a goals plus assist perspective for Furious George in the tournament. And you see what I mean about Tim Sang? I mean, he has the potential, more than anyone else on this Furious offense, in my opinion, of taking over a point, taking over the game. And he's a streaky player. He can throw you out of a game too. But I've been impressed watching him on the field here this weekend. And look, he's going to have a big game to beat Clapham.
Got to say, the shirts here, two of the nicest shirts in Ultimate, particularly a fan of the Furious shirt. That is a strong look, nice and easy to see who's who. We're big fans of the FG.
And two iconic programs. Obviously, Furious has won multiple USAU national championships, but it's been about a decade and a half since they last won. Their last big title was the Worlds in Vancouver in 2008, when basically a Furious-led Team Canada took down a USA-led, or Sockeye-led USA in one of the most memorable games. The first big world final that Tom Stiles was at the mic for, I understand.
I was chatting to Matt Bearson just before the game. He's the coach, one of the two coaches alongside Alex Davis for Furious George. And he said he was thinking about moving to Vancouver, saw that DVD and went, right, this is what I'm going to do. He was so excited about the game. It was an absolute joy to call.
What's the lasting memory for you from 08 Worlds in Vancouver?
Mike Grant. Just Mike Grant. Mead looks for an option downfield. Tom Abrams sets off to the races. It's going to be a high stall count, but a quick flick to Ollie Gordon, who comes out of the deep space with purpose. Now Wilson. Mead available. He goes across the top of Mead to find Gordon again. Wilson again. Deep cut from Ford is not taken. Abrams to Mead. Down the line option not taken. Again, no bid on that one. Ford's got one in the end zone with Abrams, but doesn't take it. Back around. Gordon's going to have to bid hard on this to keep it alive, and he does. Goes to the knees, but stands quickly up and gets it to Abrams. Good awareness from Gordon. Yo. Ford. Wilson jinking to find himself a free space up the line. Yo goes into the end zone, now across. Can they get an undershot to that? No, they're being very sure of the disc. They're looking off some of the options. And a floaty forward pass. I think Abrams was expected to cut forward out of that, but a disconnect.
Bizarre. And Furious sticking with a backhand force the entire way down the field. And two awkward looking throws. He floated the crossfield shot that was caught by Gordon, and this one almost like he wanted to holster it, was trying to fake it, but maybe the disc slipped out of his grasp.
The wind, for those the wind nerds out there, it's coming from our left, down the field from left to right in front of Evan and I.
He was expecting the crossfield cut to continue.
Touch in from Underhill. This is an opportunity for Furious George. Clapham aren't going to give the disc up very often. They need to take this opportunity if they're going to get their defensive pressure rolling. Underhill to Brennan on the far side. Fakes, doesn't send it. Underhill's available in the reset. Coming across now to G. Braden G. Disc back in. Underhill again. Just a quick switch called by Abrams. Something that Clapham have really been working on. Taking away the deep shot option there. Justin Ford steps back away from Underhill. Smart work, contact made, bit of time and space for Boychuk. Goes back to Underhill again. Furious not making much forward progress at the moment, Evan.
They're being patient. They're taking their time. And they're trying to tire out this Clapham O-line. First break chance of the game. There were no breaks in their round of 16 game until it was 5-5. And there's a drop on the under. Not what Furious needed.
Samson Hoy lets that one slip through the fingers, and perhaps Furious letting that opportunity slip through the fingers as well. Briggs got Yo going deep. Furious wisely taking away Briggs's flick. Taking away all the flicks here. Forcing them to this near side. Abrams. McHale to Mead. Mead to Briggs. Briggs flicks, and the front corner waits Ashley Yo. And the O-line have been shaken, but they have not been stirred.
That's well said, Mr. Bond. One of the things that I've enjoyed all tournament long from this Clapham O-line is seeing the trust they have in each other. You know, everybody knows about Justin Ford and Ashley Yo, but this is a strong 7-man unit on the Clapham O, and really the turnover was kind of a trust turnover. Ford putting it to space, expecting the cut to continue. They'll talk about it. I think they might be talking about it right now. But they still get the disc back, taking advantage of the drop. And Clapham able to hold and go ahead 2-1.
Just one turn apiece. You see the 28 shirt of Justin Ford alongside the 15 shirt of Conrad Wilson, one of the two Wilson brothers here, alongside Magnus in 81 shirt.
We asked Clapham how they came back against Rhino, and you know, they give you the typical Tom Lasso line, belief, we believed, but they were in dire straits in that second half. Rhino had really controlled the game. They refused to give him the disc, and I think if they were at lie detector tests, I'm not sure they would have had belief at 13-10 or even 14-12. It was an incredible game. Rhino had a couple chances on Universe to win it, But it's Clapham here playing for a spot in the semis, which would be their first ever trip to the semifinals at the World Club Championships.
Big arcing disc from Ben Funk. It's going downwind. The flicks here. The wind has just picked up a little.
It sure has. Sang has Hibbert.
Hibbert's coming back underneath, one of the senior members of the team. Actually played in that 2008 game.
And he joined Furious, Tom, in 2005. Just think about the number of big games Morgan Hibbert has played in at regionals, nationals, world games.
Funk lays himself out, can't get to the disc. Bryson contains possession. Into the lane, but there's the big hand of Magnus Wilson blocking the advancing pass, getting the disc into the hands of the team from London.
Well, it's a great matchup there with Wilson on Hibbert, and not the most textbook of cuts there. He would not coach one of his youth players to make that cut. That was a rule-breaking cut there from Hibbert. He's trying to squeeze it in with a high stall, and Wilson was ready for it. First break chance here for Clapham.
Rowledge.
It has to be Rowledge and Modiano here for Clapham leading the way. Ben Funk as well, an experienced member of this team.
Rowledge again. Swan Thompson on the far sideline. Rowledge just losing his footing. Powers forward, gets the hand down, but the touch from Bullock was enough.
Yeah, Vince Bullock on the mark, had his hands up, got a piece of the high release backhand.
They only had one option there, Clapham, and with Rowledge slipping, as another sliding block comes in from Garner, pressure.
Well, it's a good thing he got the hand block, Tom, because after the slip, Rowledge had Underhill beat up the line and would have been in power position if not for the hand block.
Really tight defense here from Clapham, forcing pressure at every pass. Underhill now for Furious, sends it deep, lots of time. Big bid doesn't come from Rowledge, he just didn't quite have the steps there. And a great run down from Rumi Tejpar for the goal.
Tejpar, Underhill, two experienced members of this Furious squad. And there's the turn, just really wasn't room to get that throw squeezed in there. Good block by Wilson, but a risky high release by Wilson to give it right back. And then Underhill has long been one of the backfield stabilizing forces for Vancouver men's ultimate.
Excellent put, deep. Tejpar celebrating. The team said quite relaxed. The team did seem quite relaxed, warming up behind the stands just before the game. They recognise that they've had a tough week, losing to Mooncatchers. It's one of the exciting stories of this tournament.
Yes, indeed.
We'll play Sockeye later. Don't forget to tune in for that one. I think you've got the call on the Sockeye game, haven't you?
Yeah, I'll be with Liam Grant for Sockeye Mooncatchers, battling for the right to play in the semis tomorrow.
A flick forward to Ford. Back to Briggs. Wilson. Advancing pass to Cartwright. On the far sideline is Long. Centers to Ford.
Furious doing a nice job making Clapham work, and Clapham, in response, being patient, taking what's there, working gradually down the field.
Big gainer to Cartwright, looks up, finds the off pass to Wilson, bit of space here opening up, doesn't take that option, gets it back to Long, back to Wilson again, back to Mead and Ford. This is good movement, the sort of thing that Clapham have been trying to integrate into their game, this short, quick passes, working it up, taking away their dependence on the deep game, which they've relied on so much. And into the end zone in the front corner. Perfect low release from Josh Briggs. Just having a quick chat with Robbie Brennan after that point. 3-2, and so far, it's all on serve.
And well said by you, Tom. I mean, you know the history better than I, but Clapham for a long time, I mean, for 2 decades, they have just been the dominant program in the UK. Nobody has touched them on the island. In Europe as well, they've won 8 of the last 9 European finals. But when they've played North American teams, that style has gotten them into problems because they run into these similar type of big athletic giants from the USA and Canada. And not to say we want to see Justin Ford transform into Masahiro Matsuno and all of a sudden play the Buzz Bullet style, because that's not their game either. But they need to pick their spots with the huck and play patient like we saw on that last point. If they do that, they're going to win this game because they have the edge. They received to start. All they need to do is hold. Obviously, there's a long way to go, and gusts of wind can be quirky, but Clapham in the driver's seat with the way they've looked on O through their first 3 0 points.
It looks comfortable at the moment.
Sure does.
But the pressure will ramp up throughout the game.
Can you put into perspective, Tom, how you felt as a Brit 4 years ago when Clapham did not meet expectations, losing in the round of 16, not getting to this stage?
I had a chat with a lot of the players after that in the post-mortem, and just that overwhelming sense of disappointment at not achieving what they knew they were capable of, and lots of different reasons why. They picked up a couple of external players just for that season. Maybe it changed the chemistry of the team. And once you stop trusting your team, things can go wrong quickly. Bullock sends it deep. Lots of space in the end zone, but it's going to get away. Doesn't get away. Great run down, fast feet. And a score for Malcolm Bryson, second of the game.
Well, good run from Bryson, but it was Bullock that set this up. Shaking free of his handler defender, Hayden Slaughter, and just tons of space. Both no mark and nobody clogging the deep landing zone for Bryson.
Yeah, watching Bullock warm up, he's such a slight character, really slim, and always fine with the slight physiques. They can get free quicker. They've got that explosive burst of power. Twin that with a really powerful core for those flicks, and Bullock is a devastating handler.
Well, these are 2 heavyweights counterpunching right now, you know, feeling each other out from a D-line perspective. Which D-line can ratchet up the pressure? The turnovers, for the most part, have been self-inflicted.
Clapham, a team established in 2000. Teams existed in London before that, but named after Clapham Common, which is where a lot of the players practiced, and they have not let go of the national title since. 22 years. And a deep shot goes up to Yo. Yo's chasing it down. Lays just fingertips away. Can't quite come up with the connection this time. Momentary pause in the sprint there, maybe. Looking over the shoulders, looking up at the disc. Oh, so close from Yo. You know, every time he's chasing down a disc, he's going to give it 100%. On that time, he needed 102.
I'm debating whether to critique the decision or the execution, because as it went up, I'm thinking, no, they don't need that. They're destroying Furious on the unders, but at the same time, it was there. And just a slightly flatter disc, considering the separation that Ash had, would have been good. It did not hang long enough, and that mistake is on Briggs.
Usually so reliable with the disc in hand. Vasiliev, one of the players that played on that Furious George side representing Canada in 2008 when they won the World Championships. For Canada, not for Furious.
Tolly's been around for a long time.
Deep shot coming back the other way. Target was Brennan. Ford had his number the whole way in, and it looked like a high stall count pressure throw.
And both O-lines have done a good job playing D after return. D-lines are combined 0 for 3 on break chances through the first 7 points.
You see Sam Butt just frustrated with the downfield options presented. And Clapham with Mead gets it across to Ford. Cartwright with lots of space. Now sprints across.
I'll be honest with you, Tom. I think from what I've watched this week, the thing that is separating Pony, Ring, and Sockeye from the rest of the division is the D-line conversion rate, the skilled disc movers and athletes that they have to convert after return. Another chance, though, here for Furious, the longest point of the game after turnover number 3.
Well, you said, Evan, that Clapham were destroying Furious. They really didn't look like the same force there. Going to have to work hard to get it back again now. This O-line do know how to put in a shift on D. Looking for a reset. Not able to find one on this occasion. Get something through to Brennan. Brennan flicks back. High disc, but it's well read and caught on the sideline by Thompson. Thompson back to Vasiliev. Vasiliev, big disc, not quite into the end zone yet. Pressure building. Can they find a way through? Vasiliev marked out by Briggs. Goes up the line. Swing around the back. Just pushing them back here, Clapham. The red zone defense is a force to be reckoned with. Can Furious unlock the cage? Find their way through to the end zone. Reset after reset. Floating across. That's given them a bit of space. There's a player free at the back of the end zone. Brennan was there. Mead was close, but not close enough. Disc doesn't go. Vasiliev.
Oh!
Disc down. Turnover.
Wow. I mean, it was incredible patience by Vasiliev. He threw the little backdoor pass to get the reset for Brinlin Powell, and it was there for Sam Butt. And that is a killer mistake with so much on the line. Timeout, Clapham.
Yeah, you wouldn't have expected anything else after that. Clapham's O-line not looking confident, the pressure building. They might be a little bit fatigued. They have such a big game this morning. Both of these teams had big games this morning. Clapham beating Rhino on Universe Point after coming out on defense, and they looked a little weary. Let's have a look at the turnovers again here.
Well, it started with a deep shot. Briggs looking for Yo, and he had him. Just another half step, and Ash would have had it. No real options here, and Justin Ford, the deep space, ushering that to the ground. Brennan had absolutely no chance. But the defense from Furious continuing to land some body blows, and look, that was perhaps a tougher catch than I gave him credit for, but one you gotta make in the quarterfinals at Worlds.
Yes. Luckily, he'll have a chance to re-watch it on the stream and have nightmares forevermore. I always wonder about the curse of the stream, whether players, I mean, at this, we're in quarterfinals time, players have got to be expecting to see their games streamed during a quarterfinal, but is it the extra pressure that you want in this game?
I think the first time you are ever streamed, or the first time you're ever on TV, you feel that extra pressure a little bit. And look, Furious George has not truly been in the limelight for a while now. So there maybe could be a little of that. I think once you've gotten your feet wet with the spotlight shining on you, it's not too difficult to make it feel like just another game. However, and this is a big however, the quarterfinals of Worlds, streamed or not, that is the pressure cooker, because there's a huge difference between being in the final 8 and the final 4.
Getting a disc through, but a slip in the middle of the field. It's going to be a pick. Mead surveys the options. Very bunched, the offense from Clapham here. His option's been taken away because of Furious's defense. Ollie Gordon now. From Ford to Mead. Cartwright available. Again, the Vasiliev force taking away the option which they've had at any other point of the game. Little button cut from Ford. Gets himself free, and the pick is called. After those fairly frenetic first 6 points,
yeah,
this one's been a tough one.
Ground to a halt.
Maybe a momentum change, Evan. But the World Ultimate Club Championships in quarter-final action. Furious George in the red, Clapham in the white. Myself, Tom Stiles, alongside Evan Lepler here on Ultiworld.
And there is one men's quarter-final going on now on a different field. Ring of Fire from North Carolina, USA, leading Cusp La Fota from Bologna, Italy, 4-2.
Abrams considers a deep shot, finds Briggs instead, who slides to the ground. Gordon's looking deep. Abrams goes down the line. Ford is available in the reset. Mead uses the legs to get free. Cartwright does the same. Spreading out a little more now to Ford. Cartwright goes across. Abrams available now. Again, it's Ford. And Yo. Briggs comes and rises. Brennan on his tail. Ford up the line now. Yo's there available. Surely a shot. No. Being really careful with it now, Clapham. Perhaps too careful. Briggs. Got to take your options. Pick is called.
Well, some really good stuff from Justin Ford in the handler space, showing he can win his matchup at age 35. He can get where he wants to go in the field. And look, Clapham has done a good job using their depth, playing through all 7, not having 1 or 2 guys be the anchor, but I think deep down we all know when push comes to sub and Clapham needs something, they go to the veteran, the legend, Justin Ford.
Mead. Yo comes out of the deep space. He's had a really hard matchup to deal with. Mead finds the space up the line. Yo goes up the line as well. Ford's trying to gallop free. Vasiliev's the target. Quick into the reset space. Nothing down the line for Abrams. Mead goes up the line. A quick pop in, and eventually they work it up. My goodness me, they had to grind for that one.
And the tempers rising just a little bit. Mead did not like the bump from Devin Thompson on the back end of the play. Some tremendous handler defense from Anatoly Vasiliev. He still got it when he rolled onto Ford in the switch. Long point ends up just being a non-routine hold for the Bullfrogs.
Yeah, Sam Butt really taking care of Ashley Yo. A very quiet point out there. Mead just giving the eyes. Wants a good game out here. Personal trainer in his day job.
Personal trainers always seem to be in the best shape, don't they?
It's weird that.
Their most important client is the person in the mirror.
Number 1.
Well, it's been a while since Furious has been on the field on offense. I mean, that was a very long 7th point, but we still have had 7 consecutive holds to start this thing out. This is one game, Tom, but obviously a spot in the semifinals on the line. And look, Clapham has never been this deep at Worlds before. Furious has, but it's been multiple generations of Ultimate. Forget the fact that Morgan Hibbert's still around. He's a grandpa at this point in terms of Ultimate, turning 41 in December, joining Furious in 2005. But if we think of generations as kind of half decades, it's been a long time since Furious has been in the mix quite like this. But they do have the talent to get there. There's no question about it.
It was an excellent deep pull. It's really put Furious on the back foot, deep in the end zone. Sang comes across. Underhill has got the disc. Reset to Bryson. Bryson continues the flow to Burrell. Tejpar. Tejpar thinks about sending it. McHale provides enough to dissuade him.
It was the right holster, right choice.
And this time it does go. Oh, it's so much space. And there's just a complaint from the field? No, it's just Clapham looking at each other going, why can't we stop this? Why can't we stop this? The availability of Vince Bullock, he seems to be unstoppable right now, and targeting Bryson again in the end zone.
And I'm not sure we talk enough in Ultimate, and part of this is my fault, about the guys that don't make the plays. Because on that particular point, Morgan Hibbert never touched the disc, but his presence was invaluable. He made 3 or 4 deep cuts, really sold them, mentioned Tejbar's holster earlier in the point, and that sets up. They don't expect Bryson to go, but when he does, he's got the breakaway speed, and really, Rolich had no chance.
It's just about the timing, isn't it? Bullock arrives with the disc. Bryson's finished his undercut. Rolich is perhaps overcommitted into that space, not expecting the deep option, and Bullock can hit anything on a dime right now.
And in part because Hibbert kept extending deep and clearing and making those cuts, his defender Magnus Wilson and the rest of the Clapham defense was very aware. It's like they're looking for Hibbert. Oh wait, Bryson's going. And it can really happen fast.
Team offense from Furious, and a much quicker point. The team in red feeling like they have a little bit of momentum here. They kept Clapham on the field for a long time.
Each team with 4 goals and 4 turns and no breaks through the first 8 points.
Ashley Yeo was setting off deep. Briggs didn't send it. Ford has to grab.
It's a big time grab by Justin Ford. Not an easy catch with Boychuk right in his pocket. And that disc was no more than 6 inches off the ground and moving quickly. That had some pace to it. Ford landing cleanly with the disc.
Okay. Yep. Sounds like it. Still count. Coming in on 2. Okay.
Ruben Berg, the head game advisor, saying he probably wouldn't be here if not for in 2008, he didn't think a timeout should be a turnover anymore. So he joined the rules committee in part because he wanted to see that rules change. And now, of course, he's the head of the rules committee. He's saying he wouldn't be here if not for wanting to make that change. And you know, in a way, Clapham might not be here if not for making that change because they took the timeout and it was just a stall 3 instead of a turnover on Universe Point in their last game. Now, with that said, there were 2 more turnovers in the game after that timeout call. That was just a stall violation and not a turn.
Ford finding space to Briggs up the line, really threading the needle here. Now across to Wilson. Wilson's got Yeo available. Quick pass. Again, Yeo has been well contained. He sprints down the line now, then comes back on the underspace. Mead has been left behind. Now Yeo again. The option was there, but not taken. Clapham not quite trusting every single throw at the moment. Looks up and finds Tom Cartwright, busting a move, free at the front corner, and exactly how Clapham had wanted to play their offense there, not using the deep shots, but they are having to work way harder in this game than they will have had to work all tournament.
Well, I think, Tom, you can be right when you say they're not trusting every single throw, but I also think they're making the intentional choice to play that way, and I believe that that's the right choice in this particular matchup. They are winning the battle of the unders. They are proving they can be patient, and their handler movement, for the most part, through their first 5-0 points has been excellent. Six of the 9 points have been clean holds so far in this men's quarterfinal. Men's semis scheduled for 1 p.m. tomorrow. They'll go on simultaneously, side by side with one another on the 2 showcase fields. Semis begin in the mixed division at 11 a.m. Eastern, believe?
Yes, all 3 divisions playing their semis back-to-back, one after another.
Everything, like always, subject to change, as we are all day-to-day in some sense.
Yeah, there was a late night schedule debate, I would say. Very constructive, very polite, but a debate nevertheless.
I appreciate you handling that while I got a little extra shut-eye.
We do what we can. Bullock available in the reset. First time we've seen Clapham come down in a zone.
Yeah, interesting to mix up the looks here. Be curious whether they stay with it or if once we get to the Whiff-Diff logo near midfield, do they match up?
Quick pop, Bryson. Back to Underhill. Bryson again.
And here's them calling fire or whatever else they call to match up one-on-one.
Fast cut out of the deep space. Underhill now on a foot race with Connor McHale. Good switching there from the two Clapham players, just drifting away and taking the option as it came through. Tejpar doesn't like what sees deep, and a pick's been called.
I'm not sure who deserves the credit for really pioneering that handler switch, which a lot of teams call a roll. I mean, I think the North Carolina programs, both in club and college, do it a lot. I'm not going to say that they deserve credit for inventing it because it has existed for a long time, but that style of defense and rolling when the handlers switch spaces like that, it's a great strategy, and you see it at the high levels of the game at this point from almost everybody.
Hibbert tries to get something around Felix Martin, but can't manage it at the moment. Bryson. High disc floated over the top, it's in space, and it's taken out of the air by Felix Martin.
Throwing error from Bryson, break chance for Clapham.
Rowledge almost cranks up something, centres it back. Rowledge again, now McHale gets it to Rowledge. Alama coming underneath. Armola sends it, no. Now to Garner. Garner just drops the simplest of catch. Under a little bit of pressure, but really not enough to account for that drop.
I mean, what can you say?
Rowledge coming back to take up the force again. The energy dying out of Clapham's defensive line. Just that little bit. Sang. McHale on the mark. Oh, high grab. Had to come down with that disc. Going up the line, McHale, and he gets a hand to it. Takes it out of the air before Sang can get a grab. A turnover back for Clapham. They're fired up here, but the defense from Furus's O-line fighting to get this disc back has really created a problem for them.
Yeah, for fantastic catch by Burrell, and then a better defense by McHale, and then he gives it right back. We've seen the conservation of greatness from going both ways.
Burrell. Scrappy point here from both teams.
This has been truly a fascinating game because, I mean, neither D-line can get really anything going. They've been plagued by these just errant throws, discs through the hands, timeout called on the field. The offenses have had 100% success hold rate thus far, but it has not been in without adversity along the way.
Well, as soon as one of these D-lines finds a way of punching in their opportunities, it's going to run away from one of these teams, but neither of them. And I'm just interested there, after Garner had dropped that disc, to see the intensity drop away from some of the Clapham players, just in their body language. They just didn't quite have that same zip that they'd had before the turn. Having got the disc from the Canadians, not being able to put it in is really starting to get to them, I think.
Well, it's been a somewhat lengthy half, despite the fact that we haven't had a break yet. And we haven't had, it feels like, an inordinate amount of turnovers either. That was the best defensive play of the point from McHale. But then on the very next opportunity, just floating a little high out of the hands of Amala, and McHale can't go and get it. I mean, both teams right now 0 for 4 on break chances. The O-lines have turned it over, but they've gotten it back every time.
So if you're the coach in this timeout huddle, what are you saying to the D-line, Evan?
Well, I think the D-line is getting pressure. And right now it's more about how they execute after a turn. So I mean, depending on where you are in the field is going to be the fact of what play you call. But I think it's just to calm down and trust each other. I mean, as simple and as cliche as that sounds.
Underhill gets it back to Sang. Bullock again gets free, but the big arms. Tejpal asked a big question, but comes up with the disc.
He had the answer.
Sang in the reset space, and the disc gets touched away left-handed from McHale, and the first break of the game goes the way of Clapham. They invade the field like they've just won it, but it's just a break, but it's the first break, and that matters.
Great stuff from Josh Awcock. The handler defense, relentless.
Let's have a look at it there. Tejpal reaches up. Look at the reset here. McHale lurking, trying to get something around. Just the fingertip touch from Awcock, and then sprints into the end zone. A fast reaction from McHale, a lefty dish. All it needed.
Well, Tejpal thought his teammate was free from the man that was guarding him, and he was. But Awcock was on the mark and basically orbited around the handler he was stalling to also get the hand block, just playing between his man and the intended target. It's a great play by Awcock, the quick bookends, and the first real turn of tides in this quarterfinal. Enjoy those ultimate shirts. Watch Awcock bounce in on the mark, follows Tim Sang, and gets the tiniest piece of it, but it was more than enough for Clapham.
That's the loveliest feeling when the disc is just hanging in the air, and just swatting away like a fly, gets it to the ground. But the reaction from McHale, exactly what was needed, punching it in. And first break of the game, it's 6-4 here in the quarterfinals of the Open Division of the World Ultimate Club Championships. The sunshine in Ohio, baking the fields. We're about an hour north of Cincinnati. The World of Ultimate is watching.
And it is warm, but it is certainly not oppressively hot with the breeze. These are very comfortable ultimate playing and broadcasting conditions.
Vasiliev. Quick movement from the Furious George team. Finds a way through. Graham gets it back to Underhill. Sprinting out of the space is Knapp. Gets the disc now. Underhill still available on the reset. Knapp continues the cut. Great cut. Great movement between the two handlers there. Knapp doing the work with the legs. Underhill available again. And Knapp, just the two combining at the moment. Big bid coming in from Clapham. Doesn't come up with it. Slaughter, empty-handed. Knapp continues the cut. And a call on the field.
No clear hand signals as to what the call was. It might have been a foul away from the disc. And they getting the signal that might have been a travel on the throw from McGregor.
Okay.
Jordan McGregor.
That's not much. That's not much at all.
Yeah, I will take that. Sorry, so we're staying 3. Okay, perfect.
Queen's University played with Ottawa Phoenix as well. Has the disc now for Furious George in the quarter-final. Vasiliev, huge name in World Ultimate. He's won beach championships in Europe with the Russian team. Dual citizen of Canada and Russia.
Okay.
I think he was too close in my disc space because you have to be. And my point was, if I was too close, then it's called a disc space as opposed to a foul. Any contact, if you're too close, is a foul.
Okay. That is correct.
Okay, but he still can't initiate the foul, like the push off on me.
So, if you're in an illegal marking position, the foul is on you.
Even if they initiate the movement into me.
Right. Sorry, what was that, Ruben? Yeah, the offense does have to be making a legitimate motion to
and I don't
make
think
a throw.
I think he was using it to gain the advantage by giving me an elbow. So I don't think it was a legitimate throwing motion. I think
Okay.
it was
They got like faced up this way.
So
I felt like you.
I didn't actually see an elbow at all from my perspective. So are we going to be able to come to an agreement?
I feel like you used an elbow in my side.
No matter what, if you're too close.
But that's not true. You just said the game guy you just said because you're making a legitimate.
I was making a legit motion because I was making.
It does sound like we're not agreeing and we're bringing it back.
But you can do this space.
I can, but that's also always a foul on it.
If it's in the throwing motion.
It was.
Gentlemen, let's have a pint after the game and settle it then.
Are we going to? I'm not gonna. I don't have a view on that side of you. Sorry. Yeah. So we've got a foul contested here.
Slaughter just arguing the point a little bit after it seemed to have already been. It was never going to be resolved.
And it's so inconsequential is really the issue here. It's whether Vasiliev has the disc 5 yards out or McGregor, I beg your pardon, McGregor has the disc 10 yards out. It's not the difference in the game. It's not worth bartering over for that length of time. It may have been a call. It was ticky-tack either way. And it's through the hands of Hibbert in the end zone.
Couldn't connect, and a Clapham player taken out as Hibbert stumbles beyond the field. Couldn't quite see from our angle exactly what the connection was there. Hillman now brings it across to Slaughter. Modiano down the line, Rolich dragging a foot.
Big time field awareness there by Rolich. That was not an easy catch.
Sprinting high, Nathan Ragg. Modiano. Just a touch. Don't know if there was any awareness from Boychuk there, but he got a hand in the way of that reverse pass. Deep shot. Rolich lurks. Does enough. Rolich, one of the best deep defenders in the world, showing exactly why you can't throw deep when he's there.
Furious, showing signs of fatigue and frustration here, despite Boychuk using the back of his head to get the disc back. This is a tremendous opportunity for Clapham. They can really seize control of the game if they can work it and get their second break here. Furious has lost some of its composure, and it feels like the Canadians are on the ropes just a little bit. Now, is this a foul? No, doesn't look like it. Just an errant throw from Nathan Ragg.
And Bryson smacking that disc down. Not sure if there was a Clapham player on the sideline with an ability to make a bid on that. I'm not sure he would have been particularly happy with that, but maybe 3 meters isn't far enough. Underhill gets it across, gets it back. Knapp and Underhill looking strong out there for Furious. Can they find a way in? Not quite yet. Float to the back. No mistake from Hibbert this time.
There was a foul called in the middle of the stack, I think, but not sure it impacted the play, and both teams agree it's a goal for Hibbert and Furious. 2 more break chances for Clapham that they cannot capitalize on.
You can call a violation if you're instructed by people who are closer than 5 meters.
Yeah, I mean, you can see, like, I end up blowing all the
I saw.
Yep. Not getting out of my way.
Yep.
I don't know, I thought you like...
Yeah, we'll tell them to go back, but you can call a violation before you make the bid if you're obstructed. By people within 5 meters.
Okay.
Rubenberg keeping calm. Hibbert quite animated with the conversation there. I think felt like his bid on that disc. Have a chance to see this shot into the end zone from Vasiliev. Hibbert maybe had eyes on the player beyond. It was Felix Martin who had his shins taken out there. Here's the big bid from Rollins. That was never going to end any other way. Naive from Furious George. Disc down the line from Ragg. Didn't quite have the touch on it. And eventually, Furious with a tiny edge of composure.
I mean, I understand what Morgan Hibbert is asking about, but just to be clear, he dropped the disc long before he had any contact with the A-frame or the Clapham player on the sidelines.
Wilson for Clapham. Briggs floats it forward, nice disc from Wilson, gains a few yards, gains the momentum, gets it to Ford. Ollie Gordon, oh, the cheeky scuba. And it's into the end zone. Ford, first time that offense have scored that quickly in a while. And it's a classic from Justin Ford to get it done.
Even Braden G on the mark can't help but smile at the nifty release from Ford. Holstered the up line. He might have had it there, but it would have needed to be a laser. And, well, Josh Marquette's not here, but that's a throw that we call a crick shot. The legendary Boston handler. Just a little flick with a scuba.
Tolly Vasiliev and Justin Ford having a good conversation here. Third assist of the game for Ford, along with a goal. More than half of the points for Clapham have come by way of that 28 shirt.
Interesting that the conversation was happening in the middle of the field. So they kind of came together right near the brick mark. Not sure what that was about.
2 points the margin at the moment here. The World Ultimate Club Championships Open Division quarter-final. Clapham from London and Furious George from Vancouver in Canada. Tough tournament for both of these teams. Clapham went toe-to-toe with Ring of Fire and really felt like they'd let the team from Raleigh, North Carolina off the hook with a whole bunch of errors that could have led to scores. And we see a different pull here from Clapham, the rolling pull, sending it to the sideline, taking away the deep option. We see quite often the Japanese teams will put up a short pull. It really reduces the opportunity to send the disc deep. And almost giving away a whole bunch of the field, but an opportunity to set up a defensive look. And it's not the where teams expect to start. So there's no one sets up a pull play from halfway up the field on the sideline. And a flick from Sang straight away. Bryson the target. Bryson is found. What a laser of a disc that was from Tim Sang on the sideline. You put me where you like. You put me where you like, Clapham. I'm going to find the end zone. Bryson the reception. Brilliant from Furious George.
Yeah, you wonder why they just don't do that every time. Just one throw, score, boom. Making it look easy. And that's what Tim Sang can do, and Bryson has been the deep threat. That's his fourth goal of the half. He scored 4 of the 6. The first one was easy, but the other 3 have been going deep. Furious doing a nice job of creating space. Bullock sending the flick, and they have mostly been outside in flicks. He's consistently had steps, separation. Big first half for Malcolm Bryson for Furious George.
Well, he only had 8 goals for Furious George coming into this game in the entire tournament, and he just put 4 on the board in this game.
Should say, according to the official stats, which sometimes they're not furious, but they're curious. The stats had Raleigh Phoenix's Ella Youngst with like 4 goals in 6 games. I just refuse to believe that that was true, especially when she had 4 goals in the second half in their game that I called against Melbourne Ellipsis, who, by the way, congrats to them. They're on to the semifinals. First women's semifinalist.
Ford towing the line, dragging the foot, really intelligent play, sends it up the line, going to be a big bid required. Abrams comes up with it. The Canadians don't know what to do with that one, but it's a .2 of the riskiest throws. Ford dragging a toe over the line, Abrams collecting it off the turf, but in 3 passes, Clapham has scored again.
And they've taken half. Not sure what the hesitation was there, the looks of confusion from the Canadians. It was just a tremendous show of field awareness from Justin Ford. The high degree of difficulty of that catch near the sideline, with the pace of the throw, the pace of his speed, the angle the disc is coming in. He keeps that front foot up, drags the back foot, and then made it a little tougher than he wanted for Abrams, but the trust pays off. 1 hold in the half. Clapham leads 8-6.
There is a place where we are us at our best.
A place where everyone is welcome.
Regardless of age, shape, skin color, or anything else that tries to box people in.
A place where we defy the odds, defy the naysayers,
and even defy gravity.
A place where it's accepted that success
doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave, to the determined.
A place that knows grit, knows grace, knows bright lights, and knows empty bleachers.
A place where we remember to laugh.
Where we learn to trust.
Learn to high-five strangers.
And eventually, even learn to fly.
A place where character, community, and competition
are all as balanced as a disc in flight.
That place isn't in a stadium or on a field.
That place is in the spirit of our players.
Because we don't just play Ultimate, we live Ultimate.
Clapham leading Furious George 8-6. We're at halftime here at the World Ultimate Club Championships. And down on the field with Malcolm Bryson, we have Claire Babbitt-Bryan.
Here with Malcolm Bryson from Furious George. An incredible first half from you, specifically some brilliant plays in the end zone. What are you going to bring to your team for the second half?
Honestly, I wouldn't call it brilliant by me. I've never had my throwers just put it so perfectly in the breadbasket. So it's like just pretty easy to play with guys like Vince Bullock and Tim Sang. I mean, that last one, like, I didn't do anything special. We make a little juke and Tim hits me in the chest in the end zone. So yeah, it's just going to come down to continuing to focus and make those plays for the second half.
Fair enough. And down by 2, do you think there are any bigger offensive adjustments you all will need to make?
Yeah, I think we're struggling to adjust to, it's pretty tough conditions upwind, and you know, fatigue plays a role. We've definitely come through the backdoor route, and it's just a matter of mind over matter at this point. Just get the legs firing. We have the juice. It's just get over that tiredness and punch it in. So yeah, I think we can do it.
Great. You have the juice. You heard it here first. Malcolm Bryson from Furious George. Back to you.
Thanks, Claire. And Evan, your perspective, looking at the stats here, what do Furious need to do? Their offense seems to have worked on occasions, but their D, look at the break opportunities for Furious there. They've had 3 of them and not converted any.
Well, just Malcolm saying mind over matter, I mean, that tells you that they're feeling the grind a little bit. I mean, this is game number 8 of the week. They played at 8 a.m. this morning. They were awake at 6 a.m. This is a time to dig deep, and he's right. It needs to be a mental togetherness that brings them back. Obviously, they've had some chances, not as many as Clapham, to get breaks. They're in some ways fortunate to not be down more, because it does feel like, especially late in the half, Clapham had easier holds and more opportunities to break. But look, this is still anybody's game. It'll be Furious's disc when the second half begins, and a spot in the semifinals on the line. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else here in the world.
The last 50 years have seen a lot of positive change. around a whole range of important issues.
And some things remain reassuringly unchanged.
Like the spirit of our game.
Ultimate is 50 years young.
And still a perfect circle.
Of fair play,
athletic pursuit,
and camaraderie.
In fact, Ultimate was a social network.
Before social networks even existed.
Respetamos nuestras diferencias.
And understand the value that they add.
The revolution of the disc in flight continues to prove
that there's nothing we can't achieve
when we
pull together.
Long live Ultimate.
Larga vida Ultimate.
Long live Ultimate.
The sun shines down on the fields of the Lebanon Sports Complex here in Cincinnati, Ohio, as the World Ultimate Club Championships continues. We're in the Open Division quarter-final. Clapham playing Furious at the top of our graphic there. Tom Stiles alongside Evan Lepler, and it's been a tough ride for both of these teams, but this is a chance to make it through to semis, and neither of them want to pass up that opportunity.
Hard-fought wins for both Clapham and Furious this morning. Clapham pulling on Universe, coming from 3 down late in the second half. Furious had a 3-goal lead that they gave up from 12-9 to 12s, but they outscored Sunder 3-1 down the stretch. It will not be another trip to the finals for the boys from Sydney. At the other half of the bracket, Ring has an 8-4 halftime lead on Cusp La Fotta from Bologna. Sockeye Mooncatchers coming up in 56 minutes on this very field.
The disc sails through the sky, and Furious George facing another Clapham zone. The team in red from Canada, team in white from London. Sang finds a gap through to Hibbert. Hibbert finds a gap through to Bryson. Waving away the defense. They've transitioned to a one-on-one now. Slaughter tries to get some mark, and it's just knocked out of the sky by McHale, showing what a presence he is in the end zone. Tejpar was the target, but there was 2 defenders down there. I wonder about that option.
Yeah, it was not the right choice. You're absolutely right about that, Tom. Connor McHale continues to come up huge. I mean, they wouldn't be here if not for his playmaking and presence in the final money points of the Rhino game earlier this morning.
Hillman now, the tactician. Oh, a turnover in the end zone. Modiano just drops it. Chance for Furious now. Bryson pops it forward, the easiest of points, and a massive let-off for Furious George. I think this is the weariness creeping into the game. These, like you say, Evan, these players have been up since 6 a.m., not quite firing on all cylinders. They played a game of their lives this morning for Clapham against Rhino to get into this position. McHale doing all the work when it's about power, not quite having the same presence in the end zone when it's about precision.
It's bizarre. The teams are just 1 for 10 combined on break chances. Clapham does have the only break, but they've missed 6 opportunities. They're 1 for 7. And just giving a gift. I mean, that was a gift of a goal that Clapham just gave to the Canadians.
8-7.
By the way, Tom, I was talking in the first half about the concept of rolling defensively. I've already gotten multiple different explanations via email and social media, people claiming to have invented it. So there's going to be some dispute over who actually invented the term, because I've already heard from one person it was Nick Kismarek in Pittsburgh. Someone else said Toli Vasiliev created it about a decade ago. I think, you know, it's long been a theme of Japanese Ultimate, prioritizing the receiver over the thrower. So that's generally what that concept does. But the best teams now have figured out ways to beat it. Here's the deep shot from Ford.
A slip on the field from Furious George, and there is going to be no easier point for Conrad Wilson this week.
Yeah, Sam Butt just lost his footing, as you said. And Wilson free by about 25 yards.
2 fast holds to get this second half underway.
Tom, do you remember the first time you ever watched Justin Ford play? Like, how big of a deal was he when he was first coming up and when he first joined Clapham?
So the first time I had my attention drawn to him was by Rob Alpern, who was known as Randy, one of the big players in London. And Justin was playing with Tooting Tigers.
Who?
Tooting Tigers.
Oh, right. How could I forget?
They were kind of a development team alongside Clapham. They coached each other, they trained together, they had pickup games together, but they were 2 distinct sides. And Randy, as part of his coaching, had done some sprint drills that he'd timed, so he could get a relative speed of how everyone was doing. And he just said Ford is just in a completely different world. And that was, as a youngster, that was when he didn't quite have the full polish on his game. But since then, it's just been electrifying to watch. National championship after national championship, GB cycle after GB cycle. Justin Ford has been there, and he's been brilliant at every occasion.
That was a dicey catch of the pull there by Furious's Vince Bullock. Kind of hopped up on him at the last moment. It was nicely done to hang on and not bobble it and turn it.
Hillman gets a foot up and stops Sang with the big put. Gets it across to Bullock again, who's had an outstanding game.
Wow.
Lasers one through to Underhill.
Underhill got away with not attacking that disc. He actually backpedaled a step with the disc in the air.
Rolich following Hibbert deep. Underhill gets it to Sang. Sang's got Tejpar cutting deep. Comes underneath, gets away from Swan Thompson. Hibbert cuts to the near cone. Rolich is with him. Across to Underhill now on the far side. Bullock drifting towards the end zone, but not quite there. And a quick reaction. Pops it in, and it's a score for Furious George. Both the offenses having a better time of it in the second half.
Bullock to Burrell to bring Furious back within 1. No turns on that point. Much smoother than the first point of the second half for Furious George. Ben Burrell, one of those guys out of the Joel Schlockett mode, not huge, but just ever steady and super quick around the goal line, has the instincts to get free at the right time and scores a lot of goals by doing what he just did.
Well, the sun is out. The fans in the stands, the shirts are off. Hopefully the suntan cream has been liberally applied. And they see themselves on the Jumbotron.
You don't have to forget for very long to get burnt out here.
Yes. I did find a patch or two this morning having a shower that I definitely needed more from yesterday. And it wasn't particularly hot yesterday. Hugh Knapp with the big pull. Is he going to finish out the back of the end zone? Relief as Josh Briggs watches it fly.
That is the worst feeling, Tom, when you feel like you get sunburnt on a day when it isn't even sunny outside. You've just been out long enough, and those rays can come through the clouds. They are powerful, and it's victimized me a handful of times.
Well, the Clapham team, if they are known for one thing, it is that they love to get the shirts off. The moment the game is finished, they get the shirts off, the suntan cream goes on.
I thought you were going to say skincare. If they're known for one thing, they're known for skincare.
It's not that. They're in great shape, all of them. Floated disc from Briggs, just waited for Mead to start the cut. Now coming back down the line, Ford available on the reset, just gallops away from Boychuk. Mead again. Abrams has gone deep. Can they find a disc to get him? No. Quick exchange of passes with Yo. Yo cutting. Floats it for Mead again. Abrams is there, doesn't send it. Back to Ford. Mead cuts across, trying to get that reset again. Ford cuts across into the same space. Floated disc through to Briggs. Cartwright peels off the back of the stack. Now Ford has it. Yo's available. Doesn't send it again. Clapham looking off some of these deep options. They're going to work it in.
Yeah, I like it, Tom. I like it for Clapham. They're playing the right way right now.
Big bid from Tully. Mead just gallops 3. Ford in the front corner. Ford collects and is set again. We've seen exactly that pass from Mead to Ford or Ford to Mead at the front cone. The handlers just working it, doing it with the legs. The sessions in the gym over the winter are paying off. And Clapham are up 10-8.
It was their endurance and big playmakers stepping up. Not necessarily making big plays, but making the little plays earlier this morning against Rhino. And having the legs to play multiple points. Justin Ford didn't leave the field during their comeback from 13-10 down, and we're seeing it again here. Playing calm, cool, composed ultimate. Briggs had a chance to launch one deep. He didn't do it. It was the right choice. Justin Ford is capable of roofing his opponents, but today as a slippery handler, up the line, quick dishes, and his presence in the backfield has been the difference in the game.
Yeah, Boychuk was given the chance to show his defensive prowess, marking up against Ford on that occasion, but just couldn't contain him. He seems to be able to get free at will, and when he has got the disc, the steadiness and the experience paying off.
The game isn't over, obviously, but the difference in the game, in my opinion, has been Ford dominating the handler space more than Tim Sang has for Furious George. Offsides was called, and Sang's walking it up to the brick.
Oh, we saw Clapham offside twice against Ring of Fire. Both times they called it. And you just think it's such a basic mistake. Ashley Yoke takes care of Bryson in the deep space, doesn't get sent. Now Tejpar has it. Bryson goes deep again. This time the disc has gone. It's racing away. Can Bryson get there? Not on this occasion. A connection that seemed locked together in the first half comes unstuck in the second.
Well, Malcolm said to Claire every throw had been put in his breadbasket, but this one certainly not. Slightly overzealous from Tejpar, missed it, and now he's got to play defense. Can Clapham get just its second break of the game? Let's find out. Dangerous bid there from Rumi.
Yeah, Tejpar coming across the back of Conor McHale. Modiano, travel called.
Not a reckless bid, but slightly dangerous. From the angle we were at, looked like he had a pretty good chance of landing in the Clapham player's back and didn't have much of a chance of getting the frisbee.
Quick to you. I don't want to run to you.
By the way, Ring of Fire has completely opened the doors on Cusp La Fota 12-6. So it looks like last year's USAU national champs will be heading to the semifinals. That's the top half of the bracket. Sockeye Mooncatchers will face Ring if Ring can get there.
Okay.
Yes, it was the one game we thought might not be as competitive as the other. Ring has looked outstanding, and because we've had some really tough games against some lower opponents.
They had to come back from 4-0 this morning. Somehow they did. It was an emotional Universe point. They won 15-14 over Choc from France. Choc was fun to watch all week long. I keep saying weekend. This to me is just an 8-day weekend. Can we decide that that's okay?
That's absolutely fine. Enjoy yourself, Evan. Phil Garner.
Collision in the field. Hibbert and Ford looked incidental, but
I think it's it's Hibbert and
Yo. Yep.
Brushes the big Canadian figure down. 6'5", legend of Vancouver Ultimate.
I mean, Hibbert was a World Games alternate in 09 and 22. He was on the World Games team. That went to Kali in 13 and Wrocław, Poland in 17. It's a heck of a run, being at the top of the sport in your large ultimate nation.
McHale now for the Clapham D-line. Modiano's down the line. Swings it around. Wilson sends up a high one. McHale gets on the staircase, climbs to the top floor. Reset back around, goes again. Slips as he tries to come underneath. Modiano Rolich is there. Front corner, Hillman coming out of the end zone. Dish back to Wilson. Front corner again. No mistake this time from Phil Garner. He dropped one in the end zone before, but not on this occasion. And Clapham get the D-line rolling.
And they can taste it now, Tom. I mean, there's still 4 points to play to get to the semis, but a huge swing in this game. And it's been the cool, calm, collected offense around the end zone. Just their second break in a smorgasbord of chances. But you could see them trying to be very careful there. They know that they can win the marathon. They don't need to beat Furious in the sprint. And they're winning that race.
Let's have a look at this throwaway from Tej Park. Well, it wasn't a throwaway. It was some good defensive. No, it was a throwaway, wasn't it? Yeah, straight to the turf. Not into Bryson's breadbasket this time. And the score from Garner. But it was a whole team effort. And Conor McHale asked the big question with the high grab and came up with all the right answers. Garner there, the number 16.
I just can't say enough good things about McHale. And really the depth of the Clapham team has been the difference between now and 4 years ago. The depth collectively and the maturity. The willingness to play patient and not just rely on your big framed athletes. I mean, the stats which don't tell the whole story, but they've got 8 different guys with double-figure scores across the roster this week, and that's pretty rare.
Spreading the play around the Clapham line. This means that they can go deep into these tournaments, still put fresh legs out. Underhill, Ollie Gordon taking care of business in the deep space. Gets it back to Sang. Rag comes across. Doesn't come up with a disc. Gets it to Knapp.
Sang needs to take over here. I don't know why he isn't slashing up the line there. They want to keep cutting from the stack, but they haven't let Sang do his best work, which is to basically run a dominator.
Underhill. Low grab required. Brings the goods from McGregor. Boychuk to Knapp. Fairly static downfield. Underhill and Knapp have worked really well as a pair in that handler space. A low disc picked up nicely by Graham. Gets it out to the wing. Sang again. Has been quiet, contained by Rag at the moment. Maybe he's feeling the weariness from that early morning start. Underhill directing traffic with the hand. Gets it to Sang. A little bit of face marking from Rag allows the disc to go up into the space. Quick adjustment from Knapp.
Rag definitely deserves some credit for the defense he's played on Sang throughout the game and on this point. Just switched off him though.
There we go. It's a point, and it's a point to Boychuk, a point to Furious George. They had to work really hard against that Clapham defense, but eventually they do get it over the top. They'll be relieved to get that one. They've got some work to do on defense now, though, Evan.
Well, they have not broken the Clapham offense yet. This last point, though, taking a page from Clapham's book, showing patience. I think our viewers might have heard that too, Tom. I'm not sure if you were just talking to Charlie about an issue with the stats in the truck. But yeah, I mean, look, 13 of the 20 points in this game have been clean holds for the two teams combined. We've also had our fair share of lengthy points. 3 points have had 2 turnovers apiece, 4 turns. Only one of those ended up being a break. Or the one point that was a break had 5 turns on it for Furious. That was the one first half break. Clapham just has the 1 second half break, and the Clapham O, despite a few turns here and there, has been patient and perfect.
So what this D line, what this offensive line
Another
pride
offside.
themselves on, and Furious returning the favour, giving away the yards. It wasn't a particularly deep put anyway for that pull. And well, because they're offside, Josh Briggs gets to walk it up to the brick mark. Vasiliev takes up a force, preventing the disc around, but Ford is there and Briggs breaks the force to get the disc to him. Mead available in the reset. Abrams coming this side. On the far side is Cartwright. Wilson busting up now. To Yo. To Briggs. To Mead. Just working it up the field. See if you can stop us.
Well, I don't think they can. If Clapham continues to maintain their poise and patience, I'm not sure Furious has the answer.
Briggs. Ford was going on that side. Inside break.
Beautiful.
Flick to the end zone, and it's a goal for Ford. It's a goal for Clapham. Every player on the team involved in the play, and they are looking strong contenders to walk away as winners here.
Yeah, they're getting stronger as the game goes along, and a big part of it is the man in the 28 shirt, as you would say, Tom. Justin Ford continues to be an instrumental piece for this Clapham O-line. And he gets the stat at the end of the point there, but it's his disc movement, it's his precision, it's his relentless cutting that has been the engine for Clapham's offensive success here in the quarterfinals. And now the boys from Great Britain are just 3 points away from their first ever semifinal at Worlds.
Well, that would be huge. That would be huge to come away with a top 4 finish for the team from Clapham Common. Would be an astonishing record for them.
And their game against Ring early in the tournament, it was a roller coaster. You and I called it. Clapham was up 4-1, gave up 5 in a row, was down 12-9, actually tied it back up. It was 13 all. They had the disc on the goal line. It was 13-12. They had the disc to tie it at 13s, and Briggs threw it over, turned it over. But still, I think that game was huge for Clapham in convincing them that they can get breaks again. Yikes. And no contest there. Hibbert shaken up.
Take a breath, Garner.
Morgan displeased, understandably so.
Clattered by Phil Garner. Came in hot, a little out of control. Hibbert clearly unhappy with the contact. Just have a look at the replay of that.
Let's go, White! Come on, White!
They really bundled him off his feet. Apologized quickly, but not acceptable.
I think the Canadians would appreciate the hockey maneuver. Obviously, there's no place for that. He was apologetic immediately. And that's the debate, Tom. I mean, should there be more of a penalty if you make that type of mistake? Because right now there's no penalty. It's just assume you're not going to break the rules. What a turn.
Conor McHale out of nowhere. Shot up. Felix Martin. Just not quite the composure needed from Clapham. The D-line gifting the disc back to Furious after McHale got the block.
And that's the type of decision and execution mistake that has kept Furious with a puncher's chance all game long.
And just not quite finishing things off when they needed to. Burrell swings it around via Bullock to Hibbert. Bryson. Rollage this time all over the back of the 45 shirt of Malcolm Bryson.
Hibbert's hobbling around. I think he's going to get a sub.
Yeah, he really did get clattered in there. Garner apology, but
he's had a history of injuries. The fact that he's still looking as spry as he is when he'll turn 41 this December is really impressive.
Magnus Wilson. Garner has taken the sub as well, and he has come across to apologize to Morgan Hibbert.
Not going to make him feel better, but appreciate the sentiment.
Yeah, I think anybody, there's no intent there, but a little bit more care required. Martin is marking Sang, gets it across to Bryson. Sang sprints up the line, gets the disc. Travel call. Bryson off to the races a little too quick.
This is when I think a little feel is required. You have fouled them twice on this point. Both have required apologies, and now you're going to call the ticky-tack travel.
It's been retracted, I think.
Yeah, that's poor form, in my opinion.
Outstretched arms of Rolich. But Sang still gets it to Tejpar. Back to Sang again. Low grab from Burrell required. Jams it up the line. Better from Furious. Looking closer to the end zone now. Bryson. Suddenly, there's white shirts everywhere. There's no option and a high stall count. Floats it back. Hillman dives. The pressure from Clapham pays off eventually after Furious looked really good for a minute. And Connor McHale, having gained possession, calls the timeout. And we all have a chance to catch our breath. A little bit messy in that last point, Evan.
Yeah, what a moment, though, for Hillman. I mean, the defensive captain of this team, grinding 1 point after another. There's another injury on the field.
Is there a conversation here?
Hillman just staying with Underhill, anticipating the throw. He has one eye on the thrower, one eye on the receiver, and that was his disc from the moment it hit the air.
Like, he still had the disc, like, and it was like I called it, and then you guys all
Well, you
kept
can-
playing for a while, and then, like, look at how long you guys just kept playing. You have to genuinely believe that it impacted the turn.
I suggest you ask the throw as well. You can ask them if you think it affected.
So it's a pick called in the
There
backfield.
was a foul
Tejpar.
called before the throw over here. Is that right? We think it was before the throw?
So
Well, no, we're trying to determine whether it affected the play.
The debate continues.
From my point of view, Bryson had already turned around and was looking for Underhill. That was the only thing he was looking for.
There's lots of voices right now.
So this is pre the timeout.
I'm just trying to work out who's actually talking, who's deciding, because there's been a foul called. The question is whether it affected the play, and we're just checking if it affected the play.
I mean, if the foul call happens early enough, it absolutely impacts the play because Tejpar stopped cutting from the end zone.
Okay, so
even though
just
Bryson
guys,
if look to the end zone, if
there's no
Tejpar
agreement
doesn't
that
call a
it didn't affect
foul
the play,
and he makes the cut and he yells for his handler,
is there agreement that it didn't
that
affect
affects
the
the play. Now, I still believe this should be a turn, but that's the fundamental flaw with these rules is trying to figure out, did it affect the play? Well, in
More
some
likely.
strange way it did, but more likely than not, it still would have been a turn.
Yes. The longer things go on after the stoppage, the more likely it is it was affected.
I think the
Okay, so-
Ruben Berg conducting the
Let's see if we can see when Tejpar makes the
So
call.
I think
Top of the
you
screen.
said what you think. He said what you think. So the rules will say then that it's a foul.
That doesn't impact the play at all.
No.
That
Is the
happened
foul
almost
contested or
simultaneously. Or he got a little hip check
Okay.
and he was
so there was
fouled.
a contested foul call.
That's
Okay.
don't like that at all.
Well, I think we were assuming that Tejpar's foul call had happened earlier in
Yeah,
the point, but not
3-4
on
counts
stall
earlier.
9. Look at the
They're
replay
asking if we
again.
can play
You
it
see
one more
play
time.
the replay again. Here's the replay for you. Looking backwards, looking backwards, looking backwards, looking backwards.
Foul doesn't happen till there,
Yeah.
and then there the throw. It's one count apart.
There's no way that affected play. And he knows that.
Well,
Okay. So
Tejpar
happy to say it's a
relents.
turnover. Okay. Thank you. We can. It's.
He
timeout call?
overturned the call after all that, and look, it took a long time, but the
Yes.
British boys are grateful for the
Is everybody
VAR
happy there's a
here on
timeout
the
call?
showcase field right now.
Well, I think we were all grateful because none of us had really seen that foul call from Tejpar. So are we still in a timeout now? Because the timeout was called, then Tejpar had raised the
Are we happy to
issue.
say it's a timeout? Who's got the disc? Still counts on.
And finally we
Doesn't
make it
matter.
to timeout. Well,
Still counts on one. Okay.
it was
Thanks,
wonderful
everybody.
to see the Jumbotron being used exactly the way we hoped it would be. The players getting that external perspective, being able to watch the timing of the hip check from Tejpar clearly had no impact at all on the turnover because nobody was looking at him in that instance.
And ultimately, the video board and getting it right, the most important thing, and I do respect Rumi Tejpar acknowledging once he finally saw it, he kind of grimaced his teeth and begrudgingly said, yes, it's a turnover, because he had very little ground to stand on at that point. For the record, he could have continued to dug in, and it would have been Canada's disc, because that's what the rules say, if they had continued to contest. So, you know, some good sportsmanship ultimately there from Rumi and Furious. But, you know, the time that it took to get there leaves something to be desired. And, well, Clapham has the disc with a 3-goal lead, a chance to break again. And it really does feel like Clapham is on the verge of history for their club. Lost to Bad Skid, the team from Germany, led by the Beutenmuller brothers 4 years ago here on these fields. And that has stung for a lot of years, but has also fueled them.
Yeah, they lost to Cusp that year as well, and to Ring of Fire. Teams that they know that they can, if not beat, run close with. Losing all of those games was devastating. Now with a chance to go better, to do what they know they could do. Contact made from Knapp on McHale. Maybe a tread on the toe. McHale grimaces and laughs it off. Uncontested from Knapp. Good hand signals from the players.
I do think this has been, well, probably not Furious George's day, and there's certainly still time. I mean, this is a great result, getting to the quarterfinals, and I think this enters them into the conversation to be a quarters, maybe even a semis team this fall at USAU Club Nationals. They are certainly on the ascent, again, with all the young talent that they have, and they've coalesced well. The coaching staff's done a good job. They have continued to battle despite the adversity.
McHale for Clapham. Yeah, I agree, Evan. I think they've looked really strong in this game and battled throughout the tournament. Looked like a unit warming up. Deep shot. McHale the target. Is it going to hang? Yes, it is. The celebratory run-in from Conor McHale. They are 4 breaks up. They're 4 points up. And the team from London is dominating here in the quarterfinal of the World Ultimate Club Championship.
Yeah, they can feel it. They have picked their spots with the huck. And this a short-range huck getting in the hands of Josh Ocock and just loads of space for McHale. No doubt he would run that one down. His fine tournament continues. I mean, Conor McHale, one of the breakout stars here this year in Cincinnati. We're talking about all tournament teams in the men's division. McHale will certainly garner consideration along with his teammates like Justin Ford and Ashley Yo. Brilliant stuff from Clapham. Really, really well done.
12 assists and 5 goals coming into this game, but it's the defensive pressure he puts in. He's a former pole vaulter before he turned his hand to Ultimate, and then during the pandemic he became one of the UK's best disc golfers. So he's a man that knows his way around a frisbee.
Pole vaulters require enormous athleticism, and let's not forget the defense by Hillman that got the disc there for Clapham. I mean, it can be clouded by the long conversation and the timeout in the video board review that had nothing to do with Andy Hillman's spectacular dump denial of Kevin Underhill.
Rolling pull is controlled by Furious George. Now, across to Boychuk. Knapp again. Cuts coming thick and fast. Sang has it. Wind rises.
Good to see Hibbert back out in the field.
Fighting hard in this game. Hibbert with the lefty dish gets it back from Sang. Trying to find any space at all. Modiano gets the hand in the way.
No matter what it is, Morgan Hibbert always seems to be in the middle of it, doesn't he?
Modiano just claiming that the disc was thrown directly into him. I think Hibbert calling a foul.
We're good?
I mean, part of it is you're just around for so long and competing in so many big games. Morgan once told me that when he was playing in the bronze medal match in the 2013 World Games in Colombia, against Colombia, and there was a crowd of 10,000 booing him relentlessly. It's one of his favorite moments from his entire career. He loved being hated in that moment because the moment mattered. In his words, Frisbee mattered more than any other point in his career to that point. When everybody hated him in Colombia, that was a really special mark in his ascent, in the sports ascent, really, in his career. That was the 2013 World Games in Cali.
Hibbert still has the disc. Furious George moving it nicely around the Clapham defense. They're on the edge of the end zone. They need to put this one in. Rag and Hibbert this time having the conversation.
Come on, fellas,
Okay,
it's
cool.
1 second. Let's go.
Offsetting fouls, stalling for.
Hibbert trying to find something through the middle. Pops something up. Any contact made?
He's going to pick it up.
He's going to call another foul on Rag.
We're 1 minute away from the cap, Tom. So if the conversation continues for a bit,
foul accepted.
Cap could go off, and it could be game to 14 if Furious does score here after the time expires.
There may have been some contact as the disc was released, but there's no way that throw was ever on. Trying to step around with the lefty, trying to get the dish through the middle, and this time they do find Knapp. And Furious George score. They're still within 3.
And they beat the Cap, so this is not game point coming up.
So it's a time cap, just to clarify the rules for those who need it clarifying. Sometimes I need it clarifying,
Yeah, me
so we'll
too.
do it anyway. So when the buzzer goes, or when the time runs out, we will complete that point and then add 1 to the highest score. That becomes the target. So assuming Clapham put their offense in during this point, it'll be a game to 15. If Furious turn and score, then it will be a game to 14.
Winner of this game takes on the winner of Pony and Buzz Bullets. And that game will be going on next round alongside Sockeye Mooncatchers. I think Pony is a 4-point favorite or so, 4.5 points I think would probably be my line, and I think I'd lean toward giving the points, thinking 15-10-ish. But I'm rooting for Masahiro Matsuno to continue his magical summer in the sport and give us one last stand at Worlds.
Wouldn't it be wonderful to have 3 non-American teams in semi-finals? I'm not sure it's going to happen, but we can dream.
I'm not sure everyone in this country thinks it'd be wonderful, but I understand why you think it would be wonderful, and I think it would be great for the sport. There's no question about it. And we're seeing it in the women's division. We're going to have an all-international semi-final. Melbourne Ellipsis and Medellin Revolution will be in one semi, and likely 2 American teams in the other.
Ford finds Gordon. Gordon, late addition to the World Games roster for Great Britain.
Tom, how about the chaos in the mixed division? It's insanity.
Who knows what's going to happen there? Both the top 2 seeds knocked out. They met each other yesterday in... you might want to watch that one. It was a special game, but for all the wrong reasons. Mead now.
Can you summarize it for us in just a couple words?
Yeah, 59 turnovers is how I would summarize it. Luckily we had the stats because no paper system was keeping count. Mead. Ford comes free. Disc goes across to Briggs. Briggs looks deep, but as now expected by Clapham, they're not going to take the deep shots. Brennan's in a different position here. Just trying to take away a poach, pick something up as they come running through. And this time, well, if you're going to leave us with that much space, we will take a deep shot. Cartwright available. Ollie Gordon coming close. Ashley Yo floats it forward. Ollie Gordon's there. Can they find something into the end zone? Big Bid comes up and gets the block. A little bit too casual. What could have been another point for the O-line.
You're absolutely right, Tom. Too casual. It's the first turn for the Clapham O-line of the second half. And Justin Ford, even on that deep shot, it was so sized up, so measured. He took his time, made sure he had the right angle and the right amount of space, and then they just got casual near the end zone. The door is slightly ajar here for Furious George.
Vasiliev across the field to Boychuk. Boychuk looks up the line. The big hand of Briggs says no. Ford on the mark of Underhill. Underhill launches it anyway. He's going to be running down. Ollie Gordon pursuing it and doesn't need to do any work at all. Beyond Boychuk, beyond Gordon, and into the turf.
And my question is why? Why take that choice at this particular time? I think Kevin Underhill regretted it immediately.
Well, even if Boychuk does have yards, it's not a good option against Ollie Gordon.
Well, and he didn't have yards. I mean, Gordon had steps and size. So that's just a punt.
Maybe that's a sign of the pressure, sign of the fatigue, perhaps.
And I'm not sure the stall count was that high. I mean, that felt more like a quick kick than a punt on 4th and 20.
Wilson. Vasiliev. Well, he get a little bit of contact on a sensitive finger as Wilson was pivoting there. Sometimes the little finger can get a nudge.
Clapham's O-line to this point remains unbroken. Furious has had 4 chances and has not been able to cash in any of them.
We all good? Coming on 1.
Wilson to Yo, gets it back to Wilson. Briggs and Wilson again. Finds a way through to Ford. Wilson again. Going every other here. Now Ford takes over. Looks downfield. What options are you going to give me, Furious? Flicks to the break side. That's a high pressure disc. And a good catch from Ollie Gordon. Really needed to be as well.
I'd love to watch film with Justin Ford and ask him about that throw. Because clearly, I mean, they had that plan in the high stall situation. But Gordon, the cutter, was 15 yards away from where that disc landed. It was headed toward Callahan country.
Ford and Briggs. Quick flicks now. Briggs and Ford again. Just trying to work their way through this zone, and a bid required. The disc surely down. It was the pressure from Furious George. Comes up with a break.
First mistake of the game for Justin Ford. Excuse me, Tom.
Certainly was. Furious now. Boychuk cutting for Knapp. Underhill available in the near side. It's there. And Furious have got a break. They've converted.
A pick called middle of the field. Not quite yet, Tom.
Got a little bit excited for the Canadians there. Making a game of it here.
Well, look, I mean, Clapham was down 13-10 and came back to win. So that should serve as some inspiration to Furious George. Not that it's particularly on their minds right now, for sure, but we know it can be done. We saw it just a couple hours ago.
Gets it back across to Knapp. Good pressure from Clapham. Back to Underhill. Boychuk, front cone. Knapp goes across and just dances the feet in. Second time of asking. Furious getting it done. That is a turn. That is a break. Back within 2.
Yeah, from 13-9 to 13-11. And this next point becomes oh so critical for Clapham. And it's interesting. Do you choose to keep your same 7 out there, or knowing that you have a little bit of wiggle room, do you buy some rest? Because this is that situation. If your O-line that's fatigued goes back out and doesn't get it, it puts you in a really tough spot next time around when you must hold. Now, well, looks like the O-line's walking the line. I'd be curious if they'd switch over a guy like Rolich or a McHale It looks like they're going to stay with that same 7 that has got them to this point and only been broken once. But this is risky.
It was that casual throw into the end zone after Ford had made all the yards downfield with the big crossfield put to Cartwright.
Well, yeah, the hair color changes, but the spikes don't. Dylan Freechild getting lathered up, ready to go for the men's semifinal coming up on this field. Scheduled to begin in 13 minutes, although they may have to wait because the game still has at least 1 point to be played. This is now a game to 14. So this is game point because the cap went on before that last point was played.
3 game points for Clapham to take a place in the World Ultimate Club Championship semi-final. Greatest result for this London club. Been around since 2000. They've won the national championships in Great Britain 22 times.
You mean the Clapham Invitational?
As some folks now call it. Perennial winners. Can they now take the next step? Briggs to Mead. The nerves will be jangling here. Little casual from Briggs. Mead deals with it, gets it to Yo. Hillman now. Hillman out on the O-line. Unusual.
And not great spacing right here for Clapham. They had basically 5 guys behind the disc.
Breeze picks up. Ford's off to the races. Abrams cuts across. Good position from Furious. It's going to be a high stall count here. Gets it to Mead. Back to Briggs. To Hillman. Hillman's got Abrams. Abrams back to Ford. Into the end zone. Hillman's underneath it. The disc is lofted. Knapp bids. Contact made, but the disc was over the head of Hillman, and Furious have been given another opportunity. Absolutely no need for that disc to go.
Just such a strange feel to that point the whole way. Furious was not playing great, tight downfield defense. Clapham was not really attacking those vulnerabilities. And then the casual throw at the end zone again becomes a turnover. And the light's still flickering here for Furious.
Twice Clapham have had a chance to throw easy passes into the end zone for a score. Twice that's not happened because they've just not quite had the execution. Once they've been broken. What's going to happen this time?
They've got Hibbert open by a mile.
Boychuk can't get past the big arms of Ford. Hibbert comes underneath. Now the disc goes up. Mead comes across to take it away and just deals with it in time. Clapham let off the hook, but that was close.
Yeah, they had Hibbert deep. They did not have Lamb deep. The poaching block for James Mead was easy.
Game to 14. Nerves are jangling. My nerves are jangling. There's the turnovers. Tom Abrams just getting too much air underneath the disc. Knapp pressure was there, but there's a breeze coming, and that's what rose the disc over the head of Hillman. Abrams down the line. McHale.
They called him out, which was a bad call because he landed in. He had possession of the disc, in my opinion, before his foot landed. But Underhill had pretty good perspective, so he made the call.
Well,
here's a look, gentlemen.
Oh,
looking again.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think both sides think the replay reinforces their position here. So this is going to be the trademark
I couldn't
contest.
see when you called it from where I was.
Here's the grab, super slow. Has control, then the foot goes down. Yeah.
Well, now, the grass is pretty tall. Could you make the case that a blade of grass was hitting one of the bottom of his cleats
when he caught it from behind,
when the disc was clap caught?
I couldn't see it down there.
I think you can make the case. So this seems like a reasonable contest. Watching it live, I did think it was a good catch for Clapham.
We're saying you're going to keep the disc at the moment.
Happened right in front of us.
Going back there.
One other angle.
Where you were when the throw happened.
That's fine. That's fine.
Where you were when the throw happened?
Thing was, Clapham was off to the races. And that stoppage changes the complexion of the point significantly.
Fine margins here. Can Clapham maintain composure? Underhill making an emphatic out call on McHale. Is he caught on the line? McHale getting a little bit of pressure from Lamb. Uncontested. Another stoppage in this crucial point. Violation. Ashley Yo starting too quickly. Well, actually, it was Abrams calling Brennan for starting too quickly. Disc is in now. Abrams and Brennan both getting off a little bit before the disc came in. Looking for options here. Somebody needs to do something, and guess what? It's Ford. Down the line, Ashley Yo. Briggs cuts up. Ford's gone into the deep space. Yo gets it to Hillman. McHale cuts up the line, comes back for the reset. Actually, Yo goes across. Briggs to Yo. Clapham have done it. They've made it to the semi-final of the World Ultimate Club Championships. They celebrate. Furious fought hard, but they couldn't keep up with the team from London. A brilliant victory, a memorable victory, a historic victory.
All true, well said, well fought, and you can see the emotion from the Brits. Clapham was the better team, Tom, over the course of the 25 points. They deserve to win, and a cathartic clap catch to close it out. Clapham moving on to face the winner of the Pony Buzz Bullets game that is scheduled to start in just about 6 minutes. What a day here at Worlds. It began early this morning. This thrilling Thursday, not even halfway done.
What a brilliant week out here in the sunshine of Cincinnati. The weather has come along and messed up the schedule yesterday, but today it's a bright, sunny day, hot and steamy for the players, a light breeze for us in the commentary box, and Clapham
on the verge of elimination this morning. I mean, they were down 14-12, they were down 13-10 to Rhino. The Rhino offense had not turned it over up to that point in the game, and it looked like they could have been playing for 9th place. Instead, they'll take the field tomorrow for the right to face either they'll take the field tomorrow for the right to play in the final on Saturday. It's really an unbelievable story, and congratulations to Clapham.
We send it down now to Liam Grant, who's got Justin Ford.
Congratulations, Justin, on a fantastic win. A really heated battle. On the first question, I just want to rewind a little bit, go back to 4 years ago, a disappointing pre-quarter. Your back's against the wall in that pre-quarter earlier. What was different now than 4 years ago?
I told you not to ask me anything technical. I think we know that our team from 1 to 23 they can take anyone, and maybe we didn't quite trust that last time. We have the deep, although it's a smaller squad, we have a much deeper team in terms of you could have player 15 to 22 on Universe Point, and that really makes a difference when getting breaks and just trusting that you can run through any of your 14 D-line players. And that really is the difference, is our conversion, D-line conversion. And although that was probably our worst game in that respect, at least it was still enough to get the job done. And finally, we've had a game where our D-line have worked, and then the O-line have also provided. So it's it's an amazing feeling so far.
Yeah, no, amazing game to watch. Talking about your career personally, I think over the last decade we've seen you change a bit. We saw you play in the handler position maybe more than we're used to seeing in this game. Is that something you've adjusted yourself?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'd much rather just go deep. But I think particularly, I think I feel safe around the disc. And I'm kind of just take what I get given. And if they stand under, I'll go deep. And I don't like to, I like to stay involved. I feel like I've got the legs and the engine to do that, so I just try to do as much as I can.
So you're through to the semi-final of the World Ultimate Club Championship, something this Clapham team has been trying to do for quite some time. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to the team? What does it mean to English Ultimate in general?
Loads. It means, yeah. I mean, Lecco was tough. We lost in the quarters in Universe, and that game's been a part of what we've been building since then. Cincinnati was even harder with a pre-quarter loss. We weren't right then, which is fine. But I think we know that we are up there. And we just had to wait so long to be able to prove it. I mean, I think we wanted to prove it here last time, but it felt like a long way, and it's just really pleasing to be able to prove it when we know we can. It's you can be in the top 2, in the top 4, you can be the best team, but you can still lose. So to be able to come and deliver means, yeah, absolutely everything. It's good to put UK Ultimate, you know, in the top 4 at Worlds. Such a hard competition this year. You know, before you could just say like top 3, 4 American teams, but you know, there's 16 unbelievable teams here, and there's just no easy games. Like right from game 1, we played GOAT, and we played. Who did we play?
Irish boys, I think.
Yeah, we played Ranelagh as well. Yeah, but yeah, our first 2 games were super tough. So yeah, it means loads. Like yeah, it's everything we're working for. We've just got 2 more games to go now. And hopefully we can put on a performance like that in the semi-final.
Well, soak it all in, Justin. You've earned it. Fantastic. Can't wait to see you in the semi-finals. We'll throw it back to Evan and Tom in the booth.
Thanks very much, Liam. And personally, I've got to say thank you to Clapham. Many friends of mine on that team, and they've done us proud today.
Well, Tom, you do the broadcast proud every time, and a special moment for Clapham. But look, the job is not done. They can win a world championship over the next couple of days. Can they regroup tomorrow against either Pony or Buzz? Hopefully they can enjoy it for a little bit first. What a game.
It's been incredible. Furious fought hard. Both teams had errors under the incredible pressure. But the World Ultimate Club Championships continues as Clapham take their place in the semi-final. They beat this Furious George team 14-11.